We got a lot of news to cover in this episode. We have silly season news, we have scheduled confirmations and scheduling dates and race dates. We have power rankings as well, so buckle up because this is going to take a while. Welcome back to another episode of Talkin NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. Hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I already mentioned in the intro, we have a lot to cover in this episode. I'm back from being out of town, back home. So, got a lot of news to cover from the days I missed. I only missed 2 days, 3 days. I only missed 3 days, and so much has happened. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting with talking about the Craftsman Truck Series and O'Reilly Series races from this past weekend in North Wilkesboro. The Craftsman Truck Series are actually on right now. They're currently racing while I'm recording this. Lane Riggs just wrapped up winning Stage 2. He's won Stage 1 already at IRP, Indianapolis Raceway Park. So he might be on his way to getting another win on the season. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But anyways, Chandler Smith, Lane Riggs' teammate, actually picked up the win in North Wilkesboro last weekend, followed by his teammate of Lane Riggs in second place. SVG was also in the field for this one. He ends up in third place. Probably one of the reasons why SVG had such a great night in North Wilkesboro on Sunday night. Landon Lewis, another really solid finish for the young Nice Motorsports driver in the 45 truck, might be setting himself up for a potential full-time ride next year with Nice because he's been very, very solid. Then Gio Ruggiero, Chase Elliott, Stuart Friesen, Corey Hyman, Ty Majeski would round out the top 10. And then Caden Honeycutt, Tyler Reif in the 42 truck, Jake Garcia, Ben Rose, and Christopher Bell also in the field round out the top 15. A lot of trucks a lap down. Only the top 10 were on the lead lap in this one. Ryan Newman was also in the field for this race in the 25 truck. He finished in 24th, 2 laps down. And then Casey Klein made his debut for Rackley War Racing in the 27 truck, finished in 35th, multiple laps down. And then Donovan Strauss also making his debut in the Craftsman Truck Series, driving the Ford truck. He ended up being 116 laps down. I believe he had a mechanical issue in last place. It was also a tough break for Landon Huffman and Timmy Hill, both drivers trying to qualify their way in. Landon Huffman was driving for Henderson Motorsports in the 75 truck, and then Timmy Hill was driving in his number 56 Hill Motorsports truck in the Toyota. Both would not qualify their way in. Landon Huffman trying to make his Craftsman Truck Series debut. You may recognize that name. He was a part of the Ram Race for the Seat for the 14 truck in that little reality TV show that happened earlier this year. He was in that, so trying to make his first career NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series start, ended up not being able to qualify his way in. And same for Timmy Hill, who didn't even make a qualifying lap. I believe he had a mechanical issue, so tough break for both of them. And I know I said, "Oh, we have to talk about the O'Reilly series from North Wilkesboro." We don't, because I completely forgot that there was no O'Reilly series race from this past weekend. So we can go ahead and just move on to taking a look at the chase standings for both series. Heading into tonight for the Craftsman Truck Series, Lane Riggs still out in front over Kane Honeycutt and Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith actually just clinched a chase position while running tonight at IRP. Christian Eckes is still in fourth. Gio Ruggiero, Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, Daniel Hemrick, Grant Enfinger with his win at Lime Rock Park gets him inside the chase. Stuart Friesen is the last driver in. He's actually tied with Tyler Ankrum on points, but he gets the tiebreaker, I believe, and over Ankrum. So Ankrum is the first driver out. Jake Garcia is currently 11 points out. Brendan Queen is only 23 points out in the 12 truck. Andres Perez, the next full-time driver heading into this race, he is 31 points out heading into this weekend. He might have gained some more points as of right now. And then Tanner Gray currently out by 40 points, so still well within distance. And Justin Haley out by 41. So, I mean, there's several drivers that can make a push. They're well within one race amount of points to make the chase in the Craftsman Truck Series. So don't rule out any of those guys that I just mentioned: Ankrum, Garcia, Queen, Andres Perez, Tanner Gray, Justin Haley. They are all still in it. And Grant Enfinger is still not safe. Same with Daniel Hemrick. Ben Rhodes, I think with how well he's run this year, he's probably safe. So the last three spots definitely still up for grabs in the Craftsman Truck Series. And then in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series heading into this weekend, where they'll be racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Justin Allgaier still leads by a quite a large margin over Jesse Love in second place. Both have clinched chase positions. Sheldon Creed, Corey Day, Carson Cavapo, Brandon Jones, Austin Hill, Sammy Smith, Parker Retzloff, Sam Mayer, Brent Cruz, and Taylor Gray is the rest of the drivers currently in the chase. Raja Karuth is the first driver out heading into this weekend. He is only 17 points out. William Sawallish is 21 points out. And then there's quite a gap back to Ryan Sieg in 15th. He is 66 points out of the chase. So definitely a lot of ground to be made up for Ryan Sieg. And then Anthony Alfredo is out by quite a lot. He's out by over 100 points. So yeah, a lot's going to have to go right for Anthony Alfredo on back to make the chase. So it's really Caruth, Sawallish, and Sieg that really are going to be able to make a push. Who knows? Maybe if Alfredo can land a couple more top fives or top tens, maybe he can put himself back in the conversation. But definitely Mayer, Cruising, Taylor Gray, the last three drivers in are not completely safe. So they're going to have to continue to run really well if they want to maintain their position in the chase. And then just for your reference, heading into this weekend at Indianapolis, the Brickyard 400, looking at the Cup Series chase standings, Hamlin, Reddick, and Blaney have all clinched their spots in the chase. Ty Gibbs is not too far off as well. Then Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Carson Hocevar, Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Joey Logano, and Austin Cindric are the rest of the drivers in. Eric Jones is the first driver out. He is 33 points out. Ryan Preece is currently out by 52 points, so a lot more back to Ryan Preece, but still can be made up in the time that we have left in the regular season, even though it's down to 5 races, so not a lot of time left. Same for Brad Keselowski. He is out by 58 points, so quite a large margin of points there. And then Mike McDowell, Ross Chastain, they're both out by well over 80 points, 83 points to be exact. So a lot of ground to be made up for the first 5 drivers out. Allmendinger, Gilliland, Zane Smith, Riley Herbst, John Hunter Nemechek, they all have a lot of work to do. So we'll see if they can pull it off. But definitely the drivers to watch out for are Eric Jones, Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski, McDowell, and Chastain moving forward. But, Bubba Wallace is not safe. SVG is not safe. Logano, Cindric, Byron even isn't safe in my opinion. But, 1 or 2 bad races in a row for any of those 5 I just mentioned, they can be right in the conversation of not making the chase, but I'm a little bit more confident in Byron, Bubba Wallace, SVG, Logano, Cindric. I'm not too confident in as well. Like I don't have as much confidence in them as Byron or Wallace. So we'll have to wait and see how things continue to shift over the next few weeks. Only 5 races left to go in the NASCAR Cup Series regular season. It's already crazy. We're to that point already, but here we are. So we'll have to keep an eye out on the chase standings. Let me know down in the comments as well. Who do you think is going to make the chase in the NASCAR Cup Series, at least on the drivers that are on the bubble? Because we already know 3 of the drivers are going to be making the chase. Moving on, we have some new news about some NASCAR promotions and NASCAR related things coming to the big screen. So first, USA Productions is making a new 3-part NASCAR docu-series called NASCAR Americana, which will be premiering on August 9th, so coming up here in only a couple of weeks. And it will be talking about NASCAR and their connection to the 250 years of America. So it should be a fun little 3-part docu-series to watch. There'll be a first part, which will be premiering on August 9th, was named Rebel Roots. The second part is Family Bonds. And then the third part on August 23rd will be Enduring Spirits. So definitely should check out that 3-part docu-series if you are interested in it. And the other big news about NASCAR film and NASCAR on the big screen is coming up is that the Days of Thunder sequel is continuing on and continuing to make progress. Jonathan Levine has been named as the director for the upcoming Days of Thunder sequel, starring well-known actor Tom Cruise, who starred as Cole Trickle back in the original Days of Thunder movie. Jonathan Levine, well-known director, he has written the parts out for several notable video games such as Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. I was not aware of that. I don't play, many games like that, like Modern Warfare, but it's very interesting to hear that. And he also co-wrote a Michael B. Jordan action movie called Without Remorse. So I have not watched that movie. I doubt that's appropriate for my age, and frankly, I don't have much interest in watching a Michael B. Jordan movie at this point in my life. But if you have watched it, you might be thinking that it's actually a pretty solid movie, or not. So I don't really know much about Jonathan Levine, but if he's someone that's making the scripts and the writing the stories for video games like Call of Duty, I mean, must be a pretty solid director if you ask me. Or actually, you know what? He doesn't sound like that good of a director. I don't think this movie's gonna be that good. I'm joking. This all sounds really encouraging from my point of view. So we'll have to wait and see about the Days of Thunder sequel and what else comes out about this. I don't think they have a co-star for being with Tom Cruise, though I have heard they are talking with Jeff Gordon, several NASCAR Cup Series drivers about potential roles in the upcoming film. So who knows what could happen there. Will Staples is the writer of the script, so that's something else that is you know also added into the news that we got about the Days of Thunder sequel. So with that being said, I am very excited to learn more information as it continues to be developed and produced. So let me know down in the comments. Are you excited for the Days of Thunder sequel starring Tom Cruise? Because I know I am. Next up, we got some big breaking news this week about NASCAR Cup Series practice, as NASCAR announced they will be expanding the practice times upcoming at New Hampshire Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks, and will be continuing on through the entire rest of the season. Instead of having two separate 25-minute practice sessions, NASCAR will have, and especially in the Cup Series, will have a single 50-minute practice session per race weekend. And I think this is a good move for NASCAR. This has been something that drivers have been asking for, what many in the industry have been asking for a long time, ever since COVID and NASCAR severely reduced practice time to zero practice time, just one qualifying lap. And then when they brought practice back, it was 25-minute sessions, just trying to reduce time out on track. But now we will be getting more practice time at non-super speedway tracks. I remember for Daytona, they had several practices in the draft, and that was a welcome change by many in the industry, and now we're getting more practice time as well. So I'll be interested to hear and see if NASCAR continues to add more practice time moving forward. They are expected to bring back preseason Thunder next year. The Clash, it sounds like, could be coming back. We did get a new report from The Athletic today that NASCAR is expected to bring the Clash back to Daytona. We'll talk about that in just a moment because we did get more scheduling confirmations. So lots of things are returning to NASCAR, more time out on track. So I'm very excited to hear all of this. But practice being moved to just one single 50-minute practice session, definitely a welcome addition, welcome return to the NASCAR industry. However, there is one caveat to this new practice change. The super speedways like Talladega and Echo Park Speedway, Atlanta, they will not be receiving this new practice time. As John Probst said in an interview, the NASCAR event management president, he said in an interview with Bob Pockrass that he said, quote, "Some of this is kind of threading the needle between competition and entertainment. And I think that one of the things that draws our fans is the unknown, and I think it will be fantastic for the fans to watch the teams figure out this in real time versus their computers." And he's referring that to talking about super speedways like like Talladega and Echo Park Speedway and the summer Daytona race. There will be limited practice time for all of them. So yeah, I definitely don't know how want to feel about that, and like, frankly, I get where NASCAR's coming from, like, Talladega, Echo Park Speedway, Daytona, they're the biggest tracks on the calendar, literally, for one. Daytona and Talladega are absolutely massive tracks, but they're big race events for the entire season, and they draw the biggest crowds most of the time. The racing, it's quick, it's fast, it produces the biggest moments, the biggest crashes, and moments that you won't forget for a long time. So, you know, it's not very dependent on handling. You hold it wide open and you hold the car left and you're in the draft. You got to make good pushes. That's really what drafting has come down to in NASCAR super speedway racing. Handling for these cars doesn't matter that much. Sure, the cars still get loose, still get tight, and handling is an issue when it gets long in a run, the tires are wearing out, but handling and tire wear doesn't really matter much in super speedway racing, especially at the cup level. So I get why NASCAR isn't adding practice time because one, there's not really much point to continue working on the handling, because it's doesn't play a major part in the racing at super speedways. But I don't know if you're gonna add practice time, maybe you should do it universally across the sport at all tracks. I don't know. It's a little bit weird and I still don't know how to feel about it, but who knows? Maybe like that's something that this is something we can revisit down the line and say, yeah, NASCAR should add practice time, or it was a good idea for them to keep practice time and keep it limited at these bigger super speedway drafting tracks. But who knows? Let me know down in the comments what you think about this move by NASCAR in adding practice time, but also limiting it at the super speedways. Next up, we have some scheduling news to talk about for next year. First, NASCAR and the Craftsman Truck Series will be returning to St. Petersburg next season. In my opinion, the Truck Series racing at St. Petersburg with IndyCar was a pretty solid event. The Craftsman Truck Series racing there, at least the product, was cleaner than expected from the Craftsman Truck Series racing on a narrow street circuit, and we had some big names like Dario Franchitti taking part in that event as well. So that was awesome to see. Saw some other big names like James Hinchcliffe, former IndyCar driver, was also driving in that race for Aspire Motorsports. So it attracted some pretty interesting names to participate in the field, so that was fun to watch as well. But the trucks will be back out there with the IndyCar series, the NTT IndyCar series, once again next season at St. Petersburg. So hoping for very good things. Lane Riggs won the inaugural event, won the San Diego street race as well. So Lane Riggs just might be the ultimate king of street racing in the Craftsman Truck Series. So SVG, he's gonna have to watch out moving forward at any other street races that we go to in the Cup Series. If Lane Riggs gets that promotion, yeah, definitely Lane Riggs is gonna be a guy to watch out for. But I definitely think that is a positive schedule decision by NASCAR. I think it's a very good move. Next up, though, we had some big breaking news earlier today. Per Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic, NASCAR will be returning the Clash, the season opening exhibition Clash, to Daytona International Speedway upcoming in 2027. Now, NASCAR has not officially announced this move, and it sounds like they haven't done that because they haven't found a title sponsor for the Clash yet next year. But per Jordan Bianchi, it will happen. NASCAR will be bringing the Clash back to Daytona International Speedway on the oval this time, I believe. And it's been 5 years since NASCAR has raced at Daytona in the Clash. Last time was in 2021, and they did that for 50 years since 1971 up until 2021. Even on the road course, NASCAR raced at Daytona to open up the season in the Clash. It was a part of Speed Weeks with the Clash, Preseason Thunder, the duels at Daytona, and then, of course, the Daytona 500 was tradition. But following that season in 2021, attendance numbers weren't great for the last couple Clash events. NASCAR moved to LA with the LA Memorial Coliseum, transporting the football stadium into a racetrack, and they raced there for a couple seasons, 2023, or excuse me, 2022, 2023, 2024. Then they moved the event just back to Bowman Gray Stadium for 2 consecutive seasons. But it does sound like that NASCAR will not be utilizing Bowman Gray Stadium this season once again, which I will have more to say on Bowman Gray moving forward. But I think this is a good move. If NASCAR wants to bring it back to Daytona, continue to just, embark and lean into the Hell Yeah campaign that they're leaning into with bringing back so many things that have been staples of NASCAR for so many years. The preseason Thunder test. They're bringing back Homestead Miami to being the championship site instead of Phoenix. Like I just mentioned, extending practice time to 50 minutes, doing all of that, bringing back the Brickyard 400 as well, which wasn't, part of this Hell Yeah campaign, but still, it was a thing that was a staple of NASCAR, bringing back the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, restoring and bringing back several of these short tracks in North Carolina, like North Wilkesboro, like Bowman Gray Stadium. It's been great what NASCAR is doing, and this definitely leans into that. So I think it's a good move. I'm hoping that the racing product will be a little bit better with hopefully this new aero package that NASCAR has come up with for the super speedways. But we haven't even seen them out on track at Daytona yet. So, yeah, this is gonna be something that we're gonna have to, hopefully have to wait and see. But I think it's a solid move. I would like to see the Clash maybe rotate, like we have seen it for the last couple years. Maybe get it on a scheduled rotation. Because I won't lie, I am a little bit concerned about the future for a track like Bowman Gray, and several fans are as well. Because many fans are worried that with NASCAR leaving, how long can the track continue if they're just having regional races like the Whelen Modified Tour and other local short track series? And I think that is a fair concern. So my solution to that would be something similar to what the All-Star race could be, and we'll have more on that as well. Or, other tracks like road courses in the sport. Just have a little bit of a track rotation, have Daytona every now and then, maybe move it to Bowman Gray or North Wilkesboro, because I don't really think North Wilkesboro should have a continuous and yearly date on the NASCAR Cup Series, at least points racing. I think that's a track that you can kind of rotate in and out and get, some of those in as points races. I don't think Bowman Gray should be a points race. I think the facilities there are cool for an exhibition race, but not for a cup race. I think even Bowman Gray could be an all-star race venue as well if SMI is willing to give it up for a year. So I think, get Bowman Gray in a rotation for the Clash, get it in a rotation for the all-star race every now and then, continue to use it as a exhibition venue, because I don't think the facilities are good enough for a true points date. I don't think that's what it should be used for. I think it should just be used for, exhibition races. So get it in a rotation, something like that. Continue to utilize Bowman Gray, keep it in the cycle. I think that would be good. You can throw even like the Milwaukee Mile in there as well. I'm really vouching for the Milwaukee Mile at this point, but you know, I have to do that. I'm a Wisconsin racing fan, so I gotta just throw in the Milwaukee Mile in there, throw in some other local short tracks, maybe like Nazareth Speedway. Get that in there. People have been calling for that track to be the next track that NASCAR and SMI revitalize and restore to its former glory. If Auto Club ever gets finished, put that in there. If they ever decide to finish the short track out there, put that in the rotation as well. There's so many options that NASCAR could do with it, and I think it's good to have options in this scenario, and NASCAR certainly has them, and I think you get that in rotation with North Wilkesboro, Bowman Gray, Daytona. Throw in a couple other tracks in there that maybe I'm not talking about. Maybe like, I don't know, Lime Rock. Put it in there. Get it a cup date. The Milwaukee Mile. Who knows? Just get a rotation in there for Clash, the road courses, the All-Star race. I think you could have something pretty solid there for NASCAR. But let me know down in the comments what you think about NASCAR going back to Daytona for the Clash and what they should do with Bowman Gray. I already told you what I think, but I want to hear what you think. And I just talked about, the All-Star race, but we have a new rumor about NASCAR could be looking to rotate the All-Star race throughout several years. And even New Hampshire Motor Speedway and Nashville have been named as potential sites for the All-Star race next year instead of Dover. And yeah, that's a very interesting rumor. I believe that popped up on the Door Bumper Clear podcast, and Freddie Kraft, one of the co-hosts, NASCAR spotter for Bubba Wallace, was the guy that said that. So that was a very interesting comment. And frankly, I don't like that. I don't want to see an all-star race at New Hampshire. I think it's stupid to have races like New Hampshire and Nashville at be reduced to exhibition races, because they have pretty good fan turnout every single year. And I think what they did to Dover this year, making it the All-Star race, is a terrible decision. I think the All-Star race should be at either Charlotte Motor Speedway or rotated at this new fun event, like I just mentioned with Bowman Gray Stadium, with North Wilkesboro. Get it there because they're smaller tracks, smaller scale events. I think it would be great ideas to just have them there and have a little bit of fun and not reduce a track like Dover or New Hampshire or Nashville and reduce them to just having their single day every year to an all-star exhibition race where it's not point racing and it doesn't really matter. That makes no sense, and I think it's so stupid that SMI is even considering that idea. I know they did it with Bristol one year, and Bristol has 2 cup dates. I mean, I'm fine with that because it already has multiple dates. I don't really care that it has another one, but to reduce a track like Dover or other tracks that have just one singular date to an all-star exhibition race where racing doesn't matter is so dumb, and I don't wanna see them do it ever. Dover should have a points race, and tracks like that, New Hampshire, Nashville, they should have a points race and not be reduced to an exhibition race. So I want to see something else. I want to see SMI go to Charlotte, go to a local short track, and make work with it there. And like North Wilkesboro, Bowman Gray, have a little bit of fun with it. Just don't do that what they've done to Dover this year to Loudon or New Hampshire. I hate the idea, but I'm gonna go ahead and move on from that. But let me know down in the comments what you think either. Next up, we got a little bit of interesting news about the truck series as well. First, Nick Sanchez is going to be back behind the wheel of a Spire Motorsports truck, the 77 truck, this weekend in Indianapolis at IRP. He's currently competing right now as we speak. Gavin Beauchelet, I believe I'm pronouncing that name right, hopefully, is making his truck series debut this weekend at IRP and is going to be running 5 races for Tricon Garage throughout the rest of this Craftsman Truck Series season as well. And then Monty Tipton will be making his Craftsman Truck Series debut for Team Rayum in the 22 truck this weekend for the Craftsman Truck Series as well. Harrison Burton's also running for Tricon Garage in the number 5 truck in this race as well. So he's making his first Craftsman Truck Series start since 2022, which ironically came with Tricon Garage back when it was David Gilliland Racing, and it was a Ford team, and Harrison Burton was driving for the Wood Brothers. So that's another interesting move. Michael Christopher Jr. He was, one of the names that was in contention for the Ram race for the seat truck, the number 14 truck that Minnie Tyrell is driving right now. He's making another start for Halmar Friesen Racing in the number 62 truck. No, well-known Connecticut short track racer like Ryan Preece making another short track start. And then this was probably the biggest piece of news for the Craftsman Truck Series this past week. This was announced prior to the green flag being waved at North Wilkesboro for the Craftsman Truck Series race, but Elliott Sadler will be returning to the Craftsman Truck Series and to NASCAR. He's coming out of retirement to drive the number 25 free agent Ram truck for Calling Racing at Richmond next week in the next race for the Craftsman Truck Series. But this will be awesome. This is the first time that Elliott Sadler will be behind the wheel of a NASCAR vehicle since 2019. But Elliott Sadler, 51 years old, multiple-time race winner in the NASCAR Cup Series, very well known, very respected driver in the garage. So it's cool to see that Ram bringing another driver out of retirement. They already done that with Tony Stewart. They put Clint Boyer in that seat as well. They put, I think, as well, Jamie McMurray as well. So many older NASCAR veterans behind the wheels. So Elliott Sadler, he's not necessarily to the level of like McMurray or even Tony Stewart, nonetheless. But still, it's really cool that Colin continues to bring these older veterans of the sport out of retirement and back behind the wheel of a Craftsman Truck Series truck. And then the last bit of silly season news from the lower series of the sport. This is in the O'Reilly series this time. But Joe Gibbs Racing and Taylor Gray made it official this past weekend. No, they are not dating on Instagram. But yes, Taylor Gray will be officially returning to Joe Gibbs Racing next season to drive for the number 54 team next season in the O'Reilly series. We got this announcement a couple weeks ago. It was announced, I believe, maybe by Jordan Bianchi. I don't think it was by Jordan Bianchi. It was by another account on social media that announced this and got the insider scoop. Now Joe Gibbs Racing and Taylor Gray officially made the announcement. And like I said, making it official for Joe Gibbs Racing and Taylor Gray does not mean they're dating. They just confirmed their contract announcement. Sorry, that was a really bad joke to make on this show, but anyways, I feel like it was kind of appropriate for me to say it in that situation. Anyways, moving on, we have some NASCAR Cup Series silly news to talk about, and now we got to head over to Front Row Motorsports once again, and this time we got to once again talk about Noah Gragson, and we got some interesting comments from Front Row Motorsports general manager Jerry Freeze, and he was on SiriusXM NASCAR radio in an interview, and he said this quote: "We want Noah back at Front Row and feel pretty good about it. We're working through the last details in his agreement, so I feel pretty good about it. I look for something out of us in a few weeks on that. So, like I said, there's always a pieces to the puzzle that has just all got to mesh and come together, and we believe in Noah and look for him to be at Front Row for the foreseeable future." Yeah, that was a real roundabout way of just saying that, yeah, we want Noah Gragson back at Front Row. We're confident that we can get an agreement out. We'll see if you get an agreement or announcement out of us in a couple of weeks. And yeah, just got to work through the last bits of his contract. So that is a huge bombshell report from Jerry Freeze that Noah Gragson sounds like he's coming back to Front Row Motorsports, which I, even last week, didn't think that was the biggest possibility. I thought Noah Gragson would be out of that seat, maybe looking at a new full-time ride next year, either possibly with calling, maybe with RCR if that seat hasn't fully been given to Austin Hill for next year. But yeah, I did not think Noah Gragson was be coming back to front row. I thought that front row would go with Lane Riggs, and I said it in my NASCAR silly season predictions just a couple weeks ago that I had Noah Gragson out of that ride, going to Richard Childress Racing, and front row would replace Noah Gragson with Lane Riggs, and Noah Gragson would have to look for another ride in NASCAR, whether that be the Cup Series, be the Truck Series, the O'Reilly Series. But now that seems to not be the case, and I'm just gonna say it. I'm happy for Noah Gragson. He gets to stick with Front Row Motorsports, and we're seeing improvement from Noah this year compared to last year, and I've said this before, but Noah's had to deal with a lot in his tenure at Front Row, just being in 2 seasons. Last year, Front Row was in a lawsuit with NASCAR alongside 2311 Racing. In that lawsuit, the team just expanded to a third full time entry, bringing in Noah and Drew Blickensderfer, and it was an abysmal season last year. This year, Noah gets a new crew chief in Grant Hutchins on the pit box, and there's definitely been some improvements from this team. I remember Michigan, Noah Gragson looked amazing before he got caught up in a crash. So that was a sign of life for Noah, but it's definitely been a struggle recently. He had that running with Kevin Magnussen at San Diego, and it's just been tough for Noah. But I'm glad to hear that the front row still wants Noah Gragson at that team. And Noah Gregson's still fairly young, and we forget that he's been in the Cup Series now, and I believe this is his fourth full time season. So Noah's been in the Cup Series for a while. He's a seasoned veteran at this point. He's been in the Cup Series for as long as Todd Gilliland has been in the Cup Series for pretty much. So, I'm excited to see Noah if he's going to be returning to front row next year. A lot can still happen between now and that official announcement that front row and Noah Gragson make that he is returning to front row next year. But I'm hoping that, next year we see some improvement from Noah where he'll be, running alongside and matching the pace of his teammates of Zane Smith and Todd Gilliland. Because in my opinion, I think those three drivers, like, talent-wise, are very similar. I think Noah probably has, maybe the second highest ceiling out of the three front row drivers. I think Zane Smith definitely has the highest, then Noah, and then Todd Gilliland doesn't have the highest ceiling, but he definitely has the higher floor out of all three of the drivers and makes him easily, the third, worst at the current moment, but definitely makes him a very valuable piece. So I would love to see Noah Gragson behind the wheel of a front row motorsports car next year. So I'm hoping that this announcement does go through and Noah and front row come to terms and make it official. I'm not gonna make that joke again. So I'm really hoping that this does come all to fruition because I'm a very big Noah Gragson fan. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But let me know down in the comments what you think. Should front row and Noah Gragson continue on in this relationship and partnership for several seasons to come, or at least for 2027? Let me know down in the comments what you think. And then the last big bombshell silly season news in the Cup Series. I posted about this yesterday on the YouTube channel. If you saw it, you probably know what it is, and it was making headlines even on ESPN as well. I got an ESPN notification on my phone that Alex Bowman was retiring after the 2027 season. But yes, that's it. Alex Bowman will be hanging up the helmet, the full-time helmet, after the 2027 season. But in the meantime, he will be returning to Hendrick Motorsports in 2026 for his final full-time season, being his 10th season with the team. So it will be a 1-year contract extension for Alex Bowman, and then after that, he will retire from full-time NASCAR Cup Series and Auto Series racing with the team. And here's a quick quote from team owner of Hendrick Motorsports, Rick Hendrick. He said, quote, "Alex has meant so much to our organization for a long time. He's overcome adversity, won big races, and represented our team and partners with professionalism, personality, and class. Alex is a tremendous talent in the race car and an even better person outside of it. We're proud have the opportunity to finish his full-time career with us on his terms. He's family." And Ally, Alex Bowman's primary sponsor and has been his primary sponsor for several years, said, quote, "Ever since Alex became a part of the Ally family, it was clear he was someone special, not just behind the wheel, but in the way he represents everything Ally stands for. We've been with him through the wins, the challenges, and the moments that define a career, and we couldn't be prouder of the legacy we built together. The number 48 Ally Chevrolet means something to our employees, our customers, and our fans, and knowing we get one final season with Alex to compete for wins in 2027 makes it all the more meaningful. He will be deeply missed on the track, and we couldn't be more supportive of him as he looks ahead to the next chapter of his life." And then finally, Alex Bowman said, quote, I have spent a lot of time thinking about what's next, and this feels like the right decision at the right time. The sport asks a lot of you, and I've learned it's important to listen to your body and make the right choices for yourself. To say I'm incredibly grateful to Mr. Hendrick, our partners at Ally and Chevrolet, and everyone at Hendrick Motorsports would be an understatement. They believed in me and gave me the biggest opportunity of my life. My focus now is making the most of my time on the racetrack and competing for wins. We still have a lot to accomplish, and I want to close my career on a high note for our team and our fans. To have the chance to do that with this organization and these people is really special. Before I move on to anything else about Alex Bowman, first, I gotta just say that this is well earned and well deserved for Alex Bowman. Even though he's in the midst of one of his worst seasons in the Cup Series, Alex Bowman has been doing this, racing at the Cup Series and winning races at a high level for almost a decade, even a decade. It's going to be 2027 next year, will be his 10th season with the team. It's been incredible to see what Alex Bowman has done, from stepping in to replace one of the biggest names in the sport in Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car, to filling the shoes of a Hall of Famer in Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car, a 7-time champion in the 48 car. Bowman can't live up to those expectations, but he's written his own legacy, in my opinion. Ever since he took part and stepped into the 88 car, stepped into the 48 car, Bowman has done stuff that, only he could do. And while he hasn't had nearly the amount of success as even the guys that he replaced and stepped in those cars for, or even some of his teammates like Byron, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson, Bowman, has done some really good things. He's won races. He's come up in big moments. He's made the chase, made the playoffs. I know this year it hasn't been what he's wanted, but he's been able to bounce back from injuries that he's had. I remember in 2022, he had that concussion, had a down year in 2023. 2024, bounced back, got a win at the Chicago Street Race, outran Joey Hand, who's a road course ace. 2025, made the chase on points, or excuse me, the playoffs on points. And then this year, not exactly what he's been wanting to have, but he's still been racing at a high level, even after having vertigo and missing several races due to that. So it's been an illustrious career for Bowman. It's been up and down, but it's still been a career that has been noteworthy for Alex Bowman. But yeah, definitely him saying in his quote that he needs to listen to his body and make the right choices for himself. It makes sense. Again, I just mentioned Bowman's dealt with injuries in his career, from the concussion in 2022 and 2023, and to dealing with the vertigo this year and just all the injuries. It's been tough for Alex Bowman, but he's bounced back so miraculously and so gracefully, and just been able to race at a high level like this after those injuries is nothing short of incredible. And he's taken the hardest hits in the sport. He's done the work, and he definitely deserves to go on right terms. And even though we've loved to, kind of hate on Bowman and, make fun of him and just shed light on what a terrible year this has been for him, he's definitely deserved, all the praise in the world, because he's done a lot for Hendrick Motorsports and the sport, representing his partners of Ally and his sponsors, representing Hendrick Motorsports well. He deserves it. He deserves all the praise in the world. So I'm glad that Bowman, is I think he's making the right move, both career wise and for himself in his life, that to step away is probably the right move. And it says that he's stepping away from full-time auto racing. So he's leaving, the chance to come back and race, part-time, make some part-time starts. He's leaving that out there. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Alex Bowman, one, continue racing in sprint cars, continue his dirt racing, and two, continue racing in NASCAR. I would not be surprised if we see Bowman driving in a race for Junior Motorsports in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, because Bowman, despite all the injuries, he's still a very good race car driver. He knows how to get it done. He knows how to win. And we even saw it last year. I believe he was competing inside the top 10 for O'Reilly Series races last year. So this year and next year, when he retires after next year, it will definitely not be the last we see of Alex Bowman. Because Alex Bowman, he's only 33 right now. He's going to be 34 when it's all said and done next year. So Bowman still has a lot left. He's, the career is going to be cut short, and it's going to be a career of what ifs for Bowman, but he's still got a lot of racing left in him. And I'm thinking that we'll see Bowman, continue to race, barring any more injuries, for at least another 7 years, at least into his 40s. We'll see him racing in NASCAR, probably making a couple one-off starts, making maybe having a part-time schedule here and there if he really feels like it. I think that could be in the cards for Alex Bowman. So I'm happy for Alex. I'm happy that he's going out on his own terms and he's doing a good thing for Hendrick Motorsports and not, leaving them to scramble to find their next driver for next year. It gives them, time to focus on next year for Alex Bowman, and even next year, hope Alex and continue to push Alex and give him the best opportunity to do well next year, but also find his replacement, and that's something we'll talk about in a moment. So before we move on here to who his replacements could be, I just want to say congratulations to Alex Bowman. It was a great career for him. It's not over yet. There's still so much more for him to do, but this was definitely a very well done career from Alex Bowman, and I'm very happy for him. And I think he's a great guy. I've seen his personality, like in TV interviews and stuff. Great guy, and I think this is a huge monument and huge milestone for him. So, unfortunately, his career is going to be cutting short, but I think it's a great career nonetheless. So, congratulations to Alex Bowman, driver of the 48 car. Now, to who his replacements could be. I know we're still quite a ways away from who Hendrick could choose to be the next driver. There's probably two that really stand out, and that is Connor Zilisch and Corey Day. We'll start with Corey Day. Obviously, Corey Day, he was even rumored to replace Alex Bowman this year, heading into next season, 2026, or 2027, excuse me. Yeah, and it's clear to see why, because Corey Day is a Hendrick Motorsports development driver. He's driving full-time for the team in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series in that 17 car. He's doing pretty good job after a slow start. He's really found his stride. So it's not an easy, it's not an easy choice, but it's definitely easy to see that Corey Day is definitely an option to replace Bowman in 2027, or into 2028 after 2027. And then the other guy, Connor Zilisch, and this is one that even was rumored again this year. But yeah, Connor Zilisch it's easy to see why. He's a Chevrolet guy. He has driven Ford Junior Motorsports in the O'Reilly Series. He has a little bit of a Hendrick connection, and who's to say that, he'll want to stick with Trackhouse after his contract runs out after next season, because he will be a free agent. And Hendrick Motorsports, often when they want someone, they get him. They wanted Dale Earnhardt Jr., they got Dale Earnhardt Jr. When they wanted Kyle Larson, they got Kyle Larson. When they wanted Casey Kane, they got Casey Kane as well. When they wanted Jeff Gordon, they had Jeff Gordon. When they wanted Jimmy Johnson, they had Jimmy Johnson. Hendrick Motorsports, it's a legendary team. Connor Zilisch, who could say no to driving for one of the best teams in the Cup Series in history for NASCAR? And I don't think Hendrick Motorsports would, it would be hard to get Connor Zilisch after his contract expires, or when his contract is expiring. Trackhouse will do whatever they can to retain Connor Zilisch, because we saw it in the O'Reilly Series. Connor Zilisch can get it done. He is one of the best prospects and best young drivers that we've seen in NASCAR in quite a long time. His ability to do well in the ovals and be as good as he can be on the road courses, and be one of the few drivers that can actually contend with Shane Van Gisbergen. It's something that we haven't seen in quite a long time. He's truly, like, as they say in baseball, he's a five-tool player, and that's what Connor Zilisch is. He can get it done in the ovals, and he can get it done on the road courses. He's a can't-miss driver. So it's it's easy to see why Hendrick would want Connor Zilisch to be the replacement for Alex Bowman. And I don't think it'd be hard to get Connor Zilisch or Corey Day in that seat next or after 2027. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But now it is time to move on to the final segment of today's show, my NASCAR Cup Series Power Rankings. This time, it'll be post-North Wilkesboro edition, heading into the Indianapolis Brickyard 400. So let's see who my top 10 is after North Wilkesboro. Starting off here with a couple of honorable mentions. First, I have William Byron, back-to-back weeks of being an honorable mention after being inside the top 10 following Chicagoland. And William Byron, it's been a tough season for him, but I will say, over the last couple of weeks, Byron has kind of settled into a consistent pattern and consistent finishing position, which is kind of just outside the top 10 in the top 15 area, which is fine. It's just the fact that, Byron is finding consistency that's really, allowing me to have him be a consistent honorable mention. He's still in the chase. He's currently sitting 12th in the standings. It's been a rough year, but consistency is something that I do like to see. So I got to give William Byron a shout out for that. Then another honorable mention, I got Chris Buescher. It's been a really up and down stretch for that entire 17 team. He had a top 10 at San Diego and then back-to-back 19th place finishes at Sonoma and Chicagoland, then bounced back for a top 10 at Echo Park Speedway last weekend, and then follows that up with a 20th once again at North Wilkesboro, where Chris Buescher started inside the top 10. So it was a very rough night for Buescher at North Wilkesboro, but still deserves an honorable mention. He's been consistent throughout this entire year. He's still sitting comfortably inside the chase. Just needs to get those finishes a little bit better for me to put him back inside the top 10. And then yet another honorable mention I have Austin Cindric, who has had 4 straight finishes of 13th, 13th, 14th, and 14th. I mean, say what you will about, having consistent top 15 finishes if those are deserving of having a top 15, top 10 spot in my power rankings. Consistency is very prominent for Austin Cindric over the last couple weeks. Ever since Sonoma, he's been, on a little bit of a streak of just being consistent, not getting into trouble, and having good, solid, clean races. And what has been the result of that? He's inside the chase right now, holding the last spot in. If Cindric can continue this for the rest of the season, I think it will be hard for him to fall out of the chase once again. And another honorable mention I have is Carson Hocevar. Just came off a top 15 finish at North Wilkesboro, and then at Echo Park Speedway had a 3rd place runner-up finish, also had an 11th back at Sonoma. It's been a little up and down for the Hurricane Carson Hocevar, but still finds himself inside the chase, currently in 7th place. He's been okay as of late, so maybe Indianapolis will be a spot for him to turn it around a little bit and find a good string of races. And then the final honorable mention is the last race winner, Joey Logano. I wanted to put him inside the top 10, but I just couldn't, man. I know he's had 3 straight really solid finishes of 12th, 9th, and then a win at North Wilkesboro, but just the guys ahead of him, I have been slightly over him, but it's definitely very close between Logano and the guys that are at number 9 and number 10. But starting off the top 10 here, call me crazy, but I got Shane Van Gisbergen inside the top 10. I know. It's only 2 top 10s in these past 2 weeks at Wilkesboro and a super speedway of Echo Park Speedway, but call me crazy, but still, I am very much impressed with Shane Van Gisbergen after his run at North Wilkesboro, and a top 10 at Echo Park Speedway after how kind of crazy, chaotic, and how difficult that race was to, gain track position outside of, pit strategy. There weren't many wrecks at all in this race. The fact that SVG was able to work his way up to the front is very impressive at Echo Park Speedway. And not too long ago, he had a win at Sonoma and was in contention at San Diego. So the last 4 out of the 5 weeks, SVG has had some pretty solid speed, and I could see that continuing, not after this weekend in Indianapolis, but definitely at some other short tracks coming up like New Hampshire, where he ran really well at last year, Richmond as well, another high tire wear short track, and maybe even Daytona. He can surprise some folks there at another super speedway. So I got Shane Van Gisbergen inside my top 10. I know it might be bold, but I got to roll with it. At number 9, I have Bubba Wallace moving up 1 spot. I know, been very, very up and down for Bubba Wallace these last 5 races. 2nd at San Diego, 22nd at Sonoma, 6th at Chicagoland, 29th at Echo Park Speedway, and then a 6th at North Wilkesboro. I know it's been very up and down, and I'm liking the game of consistency, at least in my power rankings. But the goods for Bubba Wallace have been really good these last couple of weeks. The times that it hasn't been good, well, yeah, they haven't been amazing, but, Bubba, I'm liking the speed that he's having, and I think heading into Indianapolis, he's heading back to the track where he picked up his first win of the year last year, defeating Kyle Larson, so I'm sensing some good things maybe coming Bubba Wallace's way after North Wilkesboro, so I got Bubba at number 9. At number 8, Mr. Consistency, I have Chase Elliott. I know North Wilkesboro wasn't the best for him, but he showed speed early on in that race and kind of got screwed by his teammate of Alex Bowman bringing out that caution lane going. But still, Chase Elliott been very consistent. The last 5 races for Elliott have been inside the top 15, even going all the way back to Pocono. He's finished inside the top 20 in all of those races, and most of them have been inside the top 15. So Chase Elliott, extremely consistent, if not probably for that one caution during a pit cycle at Wilkesboro this past weekend. I bet Chase Elliott would have easily a top 10. So I got Chase Elliott at number 8. Down one spot to number 7, I have Christopher Bell. I know it was a tough weekend at Wilkesboro, finished 19th, just missed the handling and missed the setup. Did Christopher Bell at North Wilkesboro. He started up front, but just didn't have it all night long. However, he is coming off of three straight finishes of inside the top 5. Runner-up at Echo Park Speedway. Chicagoland finished runner-up to his teammate of Briscoe, and then Sonoma finished in 5th. So Bell's been very, very solid as of late. I just do feel like I do have to dock him 1 for that bad finish, that bad race that he had at North Wilkesboro, because the guy that I had moving up 1 spot ahead of him, I think just had simply a better weekend and a better stretch of races than Christopher Bell. And at number 6, I have his teammate moving up 1 spot to number 6, Chase Briscoe. The last weekend at Wilkesboro, very solid, had another runner-up finish. He had a 3rd place finish. Echo Park Speedway wasn't great, but, it's tough to have good things on a super speedway like Echo Park Speedway. But prior to that, had a win at Chicagoland Speedway, and then had a runner-up finish to Shane Van Gisbergen at Sonoma. So I'm liking the things that Chase Briscoe has been showing as of late. Maybe he'll break through for his 2nd win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Brickyard this coming weekend. Ooh, yikes. Down 1 spot to number 5. I have Tyler Reddick. I know he's 2nd place in the point standings, but man, has it been a rough go as of late for Tyler Reddick. The lone top 10 in the last 5 races for Reddick was an 8th place at Echo Park Speedway, a super speedway. Granted, he won there in the spring, but besides that, it's just been a whole lot of nothing for Tyler Reddick as of late. 30th at Wilkesboro, got caught up in that crash with Alex Bowman. Wasn't running great before then. Chicagoland, last place. Sonoma, almost last place. And then San Diego finished in 25th after he blew out a tire. I will give San Diego some credit because he was running up front before he blew that tire. So just been a rough stretch of races ever since Michigan for Tyler Reddick. It's just not been good for him as of late. Maybe he'll get back on track. His teammate won here last year at Indianapolis in the Brickyard. We'll see if Reddick can turn it around, because he's quickly losing pace with Denny Hamlin, who's leading the point standings right now. I got Reddick at 5. Hey, look at this. Moving up to number 4, we got Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs has been having a great stretch of races as of late. 4 consecutive top 10s, 3 out of those 4 all being inside the top 5, with a 3rd at Sonoma, 4th at Echo Park Speedway, and then a 4th at Wilkesboro. So Ty Gibbs has been doing very good things as of late. And even San Diego, where he had his worst race, was still a 15th place finish. So 5 consecutive top 15s, 4 out of those 5 being top 10s, and then 3 out of those 4 top 10s all in the top 5. Gibbs has been doing very, very good as of late, and he's not too far out of that regular season championship competition and that points lead with Denny Hamlin. He's 134 points out behind Hamlin, so never say never when it comes to Ty Gibbs. He's right there in that championship battle. So number 4 going to Ty Gibbs. At number 3, I still have Kyle Larson. Wasn't an amazing race at Wilkesboro, 15th place. Wasn't amazing. 3 straight kind of whatever finishes. 34th at Chicagoland, 34th at Echo Park Speedway, 15th at North Wilkesboro. Chicagoland, made a self-inflicted error spinning out and ultimately damaging the aero side of things for Larson on that number 5 car. Echo Park Speedway got caught up in a crash late, even though he did win his stage. And then Wilkesboro just wasn't extremely competitive at that racetrack. But before that, had 2 straight top 5s at Sonoma and San Diego. So in these last couple races, Larson's had speed. He's just had poor execution, I would say. So I will say I probably should be docking him more for that, but I'm holding out for hope. He ran good at the Brickyard last year. Maybe things will turn around for him at Indianapolis this weekend, but man, it's not been great for Larson as of late with these last 3 finishes. He's had speed, just not very good execution. We'll see if he can execute this weekend, unlike he did last year at the Brickyard. At number 2, down 1 spot from last weekend, I got Ryan Blaney. He had his top 10 streak finally snapped. It had been running ever since Charlotte, where he had all those finishes up until this weekend in Wilkesboro. were inside the top 10. He started on the pole at Wilkesboro, was running really, really well. Fortunately, just got caught in a bad spot in the pit cycle. Ends up finishing in 11th, one spot outside the top 10. Man, he was right there. But now he'll be moving on to Indianapolis to take on Todd Gilliland in the in-season challenge final. I'm sure Blaney will be the favorite, and he probably is, to get it done and win the in-season challenge for the first time in his career. So, yeah, and just mentioning his top 10 streak, Blaney's been extremely solid. He just had a win 2 weekends ago in Atlanta at Echo Park Speedway, so Blaney's been good. He's right there in the conversation for the regular season championship. He's less than 100 points behind Hamlin. He's less than 20 points behind Tyler Reddick, so he's right there. And with his current pace and his consistent streak, I think Blaney will be even more so in that conversation for the regular season title and the championship lead. So I got Blaney at 2, just down one spot though. But at number 1, back to the top spot, I have Denny Hamlin. It was short-lived that Blaney had that number 1 spot, because for a while, Denny Hamlin had the top spot. But Hamlin, another solid finish. He finished in second place, was the only driver that could really keep up with Joey Logano at the end of that North Wilkesboro race. So Hamlin has been very, very solid as of late. 3rd at Chicagoland, almost a top 10 at Echo Park Speedway, where he's never run well in the new configuration and in the next-gen car. Then even had a 14th place finish at San Diego at road course. So had speed at Sonoma as well. So he's had speed, pretty much every track where it's needed outside of Echo Park Speedway. And even there, he finished inside the top 15. So Hamlin's been doing some good work. So I'm willing to give Hamlin some credit after he outran Ryan Blaney and was keeping tabs on the number 22 car of Logano, who was just dominant this past weekend in North Wilkesboro. So we'll see if Hamlin can get another week win and hold on to that number 1 spot in the power rankings after this weekend in Indianapolis. But there you go. That is my top 10 after North Wilkesboro. Number 1, Denny Hamlin. 2, Ryan Blaney. 3, Kyle Larson. 4, Ty Gibbs. 5, Tyler Reddick. 6, Chase Briscoe. 7, Christopher Bell. 8, Chase Elliott. 9, Bubba Wallace. And 10, Shane Van Gisbergen, with the honorable mentions being Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, Austin Cindric, Carson Hocevar, and William Byron. Whew. But I think that will do it for this episode of Talkin NASCAR. Covered a lot in this one, so yeah, missed a lot of time, this is what I get for missing 2 days of just NASCAR media, and all of a sudden I got 55 minutes worth of content to talk about, and 55 minutes worth of news to talk about, I guess. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I won't keep you any longer than you have to, so thank you so much for listening. Follow the show so you never miss another episode. Check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew. I'll have links to that show down in the description. And I will see you in the next episode, probably for the Brickyard 400 recap. Yeah, I'm absolutely fried from this episode. So, yeah, I'll see you next time. Take care.